everybody. In this RH Jam, we'll discuss our understanding of truth, how the near-death experience reshapes this, and how may we receive this knowingness without undergoing our own near-death experience. Reconnective healing practitioner, NDE survivor, and author Terry Larkin will share with us the details of her experience and the wisdom it has brought her, and to all those who've read her book, The Light Gap. We'll also share with you an exclusive clip from our upcoming premiere this Saturday with Dr. Eric and Jillian. And we are going to start with this RH Jam right now. All right, and I'm back. Okay, that was a very short break, I gotta tell you. And if this is your first jam, as I know some of you are starting to join us here on our YouTube channel, my name is Anna Clavel. I am the presenter of this weekly live program in which we discuss anything and everything that has to do with reconnective healing. We also talk about topics, themes, questions, current events that may be really important to you. And if they're important to you, they are important to us. To those of you who are just joining us or are just hearing about reconnective healing, let me just remind you, reconnective healing, it is an energy-based approach that helps us come into our well-being, into balance. It is something that affects healing, inner transformation, and is also a tool for communication. And this can be learned by anyone and everyone and does not require any steps, does not require any rituals, and it certainly does not require any near-death experiences to experience this. It has been scientifically validated. It is hands-off. And without further ado, I want to remind you guys that what makes this program happen, what makes YouTube, Reconnective Healing, our channel of Dr. Eric Pearl and Jillian Fleer to be on such vogue right now, because so many people are just coming from everywhere to visit us. It is because of you. Because guys, when you subscribe to this channel, when you like our videos, when you actually share our videos, something magical happens. Not only people are inspired to follow us, they get into that interaction. Those are the baby steps of that interaction with the reconnective healing frequencies. And that's thanks to you, to your generosity. When you subscribe, when you like, when you share, you are helping these frequencies expand all over the planet. I want to say hello to our entire chat room. Hello, everybody. So happy to see you here. I want to thank Lexi Alexandra, because I know that without her and Miss Cecilia Sams, you guys, you ladies, you really make this possible. Thank you so much for helping us with our beautiful chat room. I want to greet personally here. We have Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. And Lula. Hello, Sonia. So good to have you here. Hello, Dagmar. This is going to be quite a show. And guys, really, when I was talking to Terry yesterday, I can only express the deep sense of wonder that her experience, just the thought of the conversation just put in my heart. And I feel that this is something that you guys are definitely going to be resonating with. So I like to start right away to do a really quick preamble to the topic today, because I honestly, what I want to do is just give the floor to Terry as soon as possible. So as I've mentioned, the topic is, do we need to die to experience truth with a capital T, And, we've always known that there are these truths that are beyond our mental capacity to understand. It's beyond our capabilities to discern these things. And when we become self-aware, the questions that happen become the ultimate questions, the big questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? Why am I here? Where do I go to? These four, I think, kind of like pretty much round up the depth of what is it that triggers in us this quest to seek answers for it. And when we examine our lives, if we apply those four questions to most of the things that we do, we say, we believe in, they seem to permeate everything. They are very intrinsic to our very nature. We're always standing at that edge of that possibility of maybe we'll know, maybe we won't know, maybe we'll just have to trust that we'll get there, right? Yes, and it's true. Many of us have tried to reach that answer through a series of ways. I mean, it could be through a ritual. There are many rituals, whether religion or be a religion or spiritual rituals, that try to bring us closer to that point between the worlds where the veil can be removed, so to speak. There are things like meditation as well. There are things like psychotropic substances that can be taken to stop the mind chatter so that there can be a disconnect from the thinking mind. Because, guys, yes, as we know here in Reconnective Healing, our thinking mind, this amazing, precious gift, can be a little bit too chatty sometimes. I'm just talking about myself, but truly, mine never stops. When we have gone into that path of seeking, we find ourselves with the near-death experience and the stories that people bring back from these experiences. I don't know about you, and I'm gonna check in the chat, but personally, they are moving. They have such resonance of, I remember this, or wonder. It brings you perhaps even to a sense, that childlike state, right? Of a remembrance of like a dream. When you wake up and you've had a dream and it was a beautiful dream, but then it starts like kind of like falling apart. It kind of like, it's like it becomes little tendrils, and then by the end of 1 minute after you being awake, it's gone. And reading these beautiful stories and true stories and their experiences kind of like brings us back a little bit into that dream state in which we have perhaps experienced a little, but we cannot truly remember. Our recall is not very good, right? And yet, when you read these books, when you read these experiences, we all have to admit that this is somebody else's experience too. I mean, this is one of the things, the caveats of being human, is that it seems that for us to learn, some sort of illusion regarding how we learn things needs to exist. So when we read a beautiful account, it resonates with us, but it's still somebody else's account, and it's not what we would consider independently or individually my own story, my own relationship with this truth with capital T. Because it is truly based on our proper experience, our perception, our mindset. When we start moving from our instinct into our mind, it becomes a part of a mindset, a set of beliefs, and it does interrupt the flow of understanding and accepting this bigger truths that some people have touched. And you know what? Maybe we all fall into the consensus that the truth is out there. And we are here, and might fall back into only God knows, or I'll guess we find out when we die, when everything is revealed and everything is known. But is that the case anymore? And I'm going to say this because ever since I discovered, or rather Reconnective Healing found me, right? And I became aware of it, I have experienced what only has found a correlation with the experiences of these beautiful group of near-death experience survivors and those who have fallen into the spiritual mystical experience. And it has happened effortlessly. And since Reconnective Healing came into our midst in 1993, which was when Dr. Eric Pearl discovered Reconnective Healing, the endless stories of this direct interaction with this truth are endless, and the similarities are profound. So today, when we listen to Terry Larkin, what I'm loving about this conversation with her today is that she is going to present to us such a magnitude of her near-death experience, and then that confluence with the Reconnective Healing frequencies. And before we go with Terry, though, I just want to remind us that we have a premiere with Dr. Eric and Jillian on Saturday, this Saturday. And I do have a little clip here just to whet your appetite. Here we go.
Hi. Well, we've been having such an interesting time with this transformation of our life path. Little sharing we've done that we thought we'd continue to share in the form of an energy interaction.
Yeah, it's always fun to see how the frequencies sort of come in and answer the question that we're asking anyway. So let's begin just recognizing how we receive the energy, light, and information. Let's play with the frequencies a little bit.
You want to lead them through the beginning?
Well, go ahead. You start. I'm going to actually play a little bit.
Visualize yourself in bed. It's early morning. You're thinking about opening your eyes. You're seriously considering that option of opening your eyes, and simultaneously, you're debating the value of a few more minutes sleep.
Right, guys, and this is on a Saturday. And you know the protocol, but I'm gonna remind you. You guys do need to RSVP to get the link. You have two choices, as always. You can RSVP for the link, or you can subscribe to this channel, and then on Saturday, boom, it'll come into your feed, and you'll know it's time to watch. It's gonna be at 10:30 Pacific. I'm reading here my notes. And yes, we're gonna have a little pre-show on Facebook, and we're gonna have a surprise. I believe Dr. Eric Pearl himself is gonna be joining us to talk about this premiere on Saturday. And it is an important energy interaction, guys. It's a very important energy interaction and meditation, because it is about discovering perhaps what your new life path is. You know, when we interact with these frequencies, the full potential comes into view. Let this meditation take you into a place in which you can really start seeing and experiencing for yourself that full potential. And perhaps that new you will be there for you to welcome into your life right here, right now. So guys, the chat, I want to see what's going on over here. We have Angelica who says, I love Terry Larkin and her sister. Oh my goodness, we have a lot of people here who definitely do know Terry, and this is awesome. We have Sonia. I shall look forward to watching that. Make me smile. I'm glad it did, Sonia. We've got Jillian Fleer in the house, and that is mega cool, Jillian. So good to have you here. And Jillian says, and it allows us to consider the availability with Reconnective healing to all that is experienced and reported with near-death experiences. Maybe we don't have to die to get there. I'm gonna go with what Jillian just said here. But first, let's bring Terry on board. Terry, are you ready? Because we are ready to start chatting with you, my dear. Welcome to the RH Jam. How are you, Terry?
I am absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for having me here. And I am so thrilled to have so many people that are joining us, and will watch it either now or later. And I just can't tell you what it does for my heart to know how much all of us, as we work together and hear these stories, and it connects with something within us. It's a connection that I learned from my near-death experience, and yet it took me many years to understand what that connection really means. But just so you know, I can feel that connection, and I have found that throughout the years, it has grown in me in such a way that for all of you, I'm just thrilled to be here. And thank you all, Reconnection, for putting this together. You are absolutely amazing people, and you have become really important to me in my life. And I'm going to start a little bit with just a little bit about myself in case people don't know.
Please, yes, that'd be awesome. Let's start there.
Okay, and that is that my near-death experience was when I was 32 years old, and that was back in 1982. And so for those of you that want to do the math, yes, you can figure out how old I am. But honestly, what happened in in 1982 no one was talking about near-death experiences. I didn't have a wonderful organization to talk to. I had not discovered IHENS yet, which I did eventually. But at that point in time, no one was speaking of them. So I tucked a lot away inside of me, but it can't stay there. And that's what's really important for all of us to know. And that is the fact that when you experience being in the other realm, because what happened to me is I was in a car accident and I had 2 children at the time that were with me. I hit a tree and I was taken to a local hospital where my spleen later ruptured, and I was leaving my body watching from below what was happening as they were trying to revive me unsuccessfully. And I found that I think one of the most important things for people to take away from that is not just for myself, but to understand that my mind was still operating and yet my body was totally shut down. It was flatlining and I had no pain, absolutely none as I was outside of my body. And I thought, wow, interesting. And I remembered that I'd been in an accident. And yet at the same time, I was looking at the doctors and the nurses. And I realized after a short while that I could read their thoughts. I could read what they were thinking. And I could feel their emotions inside. My own doctor had arrived and he was just angry at everyone saying, you're not moving fast enough. This is not going, and he's screaming at them all. And I'm going, hey, you guys, I'm fine up here. This is fine. I'm not having any trouble. And then it finally dawned on me that my thoughts, I thought I was speaking, but no one was hearing me. And when you experience that, you're moving slowly into no time, no space. And I had the view of the hospital around me for quite some time. I also had a view outside of the hospital where my husband was taking my 2 young children that had been in the car with me. I could see the house where he was taking them, and I could see that they were fine. And yet I was rising and the picture below me was getting larger. The details, I could spend a long time. And when it came to really writing them all in the book, really, they're spectacular for the people to hear. And yet what really is important for all of us is the meaning that came from what happened outside of my body. Because my mind was still operating, which means that our mind is not totally encased inside of our head. It is in and around us. And Reconnective Healing talks about that field around us all of the time and how we're intricately connected to the universe through that light and love and energy and information. The information, as I was leaving that realm, I was traveling and I was seeing amazing darkness for a little while, but not really dark. And I began to see and hear, and all of the senses that we now know were still working, but I found I had many, many more of them. In my book, The Life Gap, as I tried to describe that to people, it was, I think we have 12, because I was trying to remember how many mixed senses that I was feeling, because I could hear colors. I was smelling music. Every sense was working in a different way. And as I was there, I was not upset. I wasn't angry. I wasn't worried. I felt absolutely incredibly loved, but I know that I was surrounded by these light beings that at the time, I didn't know what it was. It was bright light, and I was heading to a even brighter white light. And once I got absorbed into that bright light, there was no sense of my body at all. My body, and yet I could feel all the senses. And in that time of no place, this is where healing is so important for us to know and understand that there's another part of us that will remember and remembers that place where we came from, where we will return from. We are all absolutely divine love. And I learned that. And one of the messages that was just absorbed in me that I couldn't stop saying when I came back was, love is all there is. Love is all there is. And I kept thinking, what an interesting thing to say. And those 5 words, I was writing them down. I was telling everybody. And it was like, boy, I've got to process this, because in our earthly body, our sense of what love really is totally different than that divine love that we move into after death. I was pronounced dead for a length of time, and my doctor finally confirmed that after I was back in my body. But when I was in that realm, you knew one of the messages had to be for everyone. And it kept saying that to me. We are all integrally connected. And it's in a way that it took me years to understand. I didn't understand it when I first came back. And yet those words were in there. We are all connected. We are all connected. And I'm thinking, how? Not later, after I had my human mind back there thinking about this. But while I was there, it made perfect sense. And I could see that everyone I'd ever met in my entire lifetime had a meaning for the meeting. And so when you think of all the people that you meet in your lifetime, that they're there for an absolute reason. And when it's almost, people talk about a life review, and I never thought to even call it that. I was just thinking, okay, I can see this happening and this happening and this happening and this happening, and they all happened in my lifetime, but they weren't happening. They didn't happen in that order. It wasn't linear. I was seeing it all like a big mind map where I was seeing it all at once, and it was absorbing what it meant and how my feelings and their feelings, why we interacted the way we did. We have so much to learn here in our world. But one of the beautiful things about a near-death experience is that we need to share that you don't need to die. We don't need to die. Absolutely. You asked that. And, we don't need to die in order to have ourselves open up into that realm of awakening and understanding more about the universe. Because in an instant after I realized I was coming back, and I was coming back for a reason, and I understood it totally. But the main message to me given, and as I wrote it in here, I wrote it as the second one after love is all there is. And that was, we have the ability to heal ourselves. And as I was saying that to people, it's like, whoa, when I was in my human body, what do you mean? Half the planet is sick all the time. We're struggling, and we have been since the beginning of time. And this disease and that disease. And what happened to me after that is that I came back with this total need to find out what my experience meant. And that story is in the book, because I was struggling with putting it all together when my niece died. My sister Marge lost her 19-year-old daughter. I had a son the same age at the time. He was 19 at that time, and Anne died when she was 19 in a tragic accident in London. And I was just absolutely devastated, because I thought, wait a minute, I should have maybe been able to prevent that. I had feelings ever since my near-death experience. I have information coming in, and I'm realizing now that information coming in, it wasn't just a gift from the NDE that I had. It's a place, an opening, a pathway that we can all open. It isn't I'm no more special in God's eyes than every single one of you that are listening to this call, and every single one of the people on the planet, including the ones who are angry and frightened and in anxiety right now, and some terrible things that are happening in our world. And this is why this message is so important for us to get out now, because if they only knew and understood that sitting inside of them is that spark of light that every one of us was born with. We are all born in light. We will return to that light and love. It's an unconditional love that in my body, when I am now working with the frequencies, and I'm going to bring in how that moved into my life in just a moment. But now that I have discovered that frequency of energy, so much more has come in and keeps coming in because I opened some pathways. And what's so absolutely amazing to me is I had done so much to try to understand what healing really meant. Everything from was taking students in Peru doing environmental workshops with middle schoolers and high schoolers. And that is actually where I really opened up, and that's in the book too, because I began to realize that down there, I was telling people about what happened to me, and I didn't get this, what are you talking about? I got, oh yeah, I know someone who had an experience like that, and this is what happened. And I began to slowly open myself up, which is exactly what all of us need to do. And we don't need to go and be really, because, when you die, you've got a lot of healing to do. And healing for me changed meaning over time. I had what Dr. Pearl always calls training wheels, and those training wheels you can read in the book, The Light Gap, God's Amazing Presence, because I was exploring every single kind of energy healing that I could get my hands on. And it typed everything from beginning with Carolyn Mace and understanding where she and Norm Sheila were talking about energy medicine when it first began, people began talking about it, all the way up to, I have many, I tried them all, but one thing was always missing until I picked up this book. And the frequencies in me just went nuts because it was like, finally, I already knew we didn't need all of those rituals. We didn't need those things that so many of the energy medicine people were using and saying, but you need to do this and you need to do that. And I'm going, no, it's simpler than that. It's easier than that. But I couldn't get it. I couldn't figure it out. And then the biggest thing was heal others. Heal yourself. And I couldn't wait to hear and learn from the reconnection what that really meant. And I have definitely learned what it really meant. In these last few years where I've been doing all the training, it isn't the training, it's the yes, the training is absolutely amazing. And the portal, which they talk about as being, that's the online course that any of us can take. And it opened more doors for me because I had been going after the science. I wanted to understand the science. I'm a retired teacher of 30 plus years, and science and math was my majors. I needed to understand that because things that I was trying to put together from my near-death experience were not all there. And understanding how we are connected, I think, is more important now that I understand and have a new meaning for the word healing. See, I always thought, okay, healing, you get a disease, you go to the doctor, you get the medicine you need, you are, you're fixing something that's wrong with you in your body. And that's, of course, part of my story too, because in 2006, my body needed major healing. And I fell apart. I thought I didn't come back from a near-death dying with the doctor telling me, yes, you flatlined, but you came back and you healed so quickly that they wanted to write me down in the books and said, we don't know how you're healing this fast. And I said, I knew, because at that point, I still had a connection right in the beginning. I could move back into that space, and I could have one foot in that other world, and could keep that one foot here in this world. And the good news is we can all do that. It's not special for me. We can have a part of us in one world and a part of us in the other world, because truly we are spirit. We're occupying this body for a length of time. And our time is not linear like we know it. And that's such a hard concept for our head to wrap around. It was hard for me. Even having experienced it, it was very difficult for me to just say, past, present, future, they're all happening at once. How can that be? But I think what began to happen was I was bleeding through some of those things that were coming to me from those places. And when Anne died, and Margie was my sister, we became very, very close through all of that. I was devastated with Anne's death. And of course, Marge totally devastated the family. But she was standing in her kitchen, and she had what she called a light experience at the time, because even I did not know what to tell her to call it either. Now we know it was called a spiritually transforming event, where a light enveloped her in her kitchen, but she didn't die. She wasn't sick. She wasn't, heartbroken, yes. And she came out of it with the unconditional, amazing love. And she couldn't figure out her experience either. And so we set about together, figuring it all out together, sharing our stories. And both of us tell the story in this book, because what happened is that we grew together, but we grew together searching. And both of us realized there is so much more, and the awakening process can happen to everyone. When I first got into my first class, live class after the portal, and had my own Reconnective healing, it was like, oh my God. And I asked Marco, I said, Marco, I could see white light, and in that huge white light that I had during my near-death experience, but I was seeing hands. Only I don't think it could have been your hands. My eyes are closed and I'm somewhere else. And it was like, oh my goodness, it took me back. And then after that, having my own reconnection was just, it opened more doors. You see, we're never done. We're never through learning. We're never through growing. And I'm still growing. I'm still growing and learning. And when the book about Solomon that I've been part of the study on, and if any of you have not read this book or gone through the portal and know Solomon, the study has brought even more, because this is a channeled story, not channeled information, excuse me, that came through Dr. Pearl and through Fred Ponslow. And I had read it, and now I'm probably on my third rereading, because there's so much there. It's the channeled information is real. I know the spirit world is real. Anne came to me after her death, about 1.5 years after her death. It took that long. And she was sitting on my bed, and it took me the longest time. We had a wonderful conversation. It was the most amazing. And I took the longest time for me to say to people, said it was a dream, and it was the most amazing dream I'd ever had. But it wasn't for a while before I could finally say to people, it was more than a dream. She was there, and we were talking. And there's a whole story around that, because I had to call Marge and tell her this unbelievable story and message I had for Marge, in a bag we found that couldn't be found before. And just, there's a lot there. And I don't have time to tell all those stories. In fact, I'd really like to do is see what questions that you might have. I do want to. Yeah.
But let me tell you, you are on fire. You're on fire. I'm watching here in the chat, and people are going, "You go, Terry." This is such an extraordinary share that you're doing with us today. And everything you've said is just making my heart just go, yes, yes. And I know here, looking at the chat, people are feeling. They're feeling it. They're feeling it. When you were saying about how everything and everyone is connected, that oneness, and we're looking at what's going on in our world today, and you said if they could only see that this difference, these divisions are an illusion.
Yeah.
It comes to me that reconnective healing may be just that, maybe exactly what is needed. As Jillian says here, it's so simple. It's so simple. You picked up that book by Dr. Eric, and Jillian was typing, it's simple. This is so simple, and that brings me what I wanted to ask you, because again, we always talk here about the jam, as often as we can, how our mind, which is this beautiful, powerful organ of information crunching, right, does get very much in the way when we try to transcend the limitations of understanding our experience, right? Let me ask you, when we are in this relationship that we have in our 3D world, our 4D world, and we have to experience the truth that is out there, that is coming at us, how do you, perhaps through your NDE experience or through your interaction with the frequencies, how do you discern truth from truth in anything that comes your way? And again, this is because some people are still finding it, and I know we have new faces here, difficult to wrap our minds to the fact that this could be an instant thing. So let me ask you that. How do you personally, how does it come to you, how you discern between the two things?
When it has to come from within you. As soon as we hear something from another person, and of course here I am talking about this, but when you hear it from another person, we could spend our whole lifetime going from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And if we always are asking everybody else for what they're thinking about this and what they think about this, we're missing the connection that we all have to that power, that unbelievable connection to God. And I use the word God, other people, divine being, whatever you want to call it, but God truly built in us that connection to that information. And it is a process of remembering. And when I realized that healing isn't just about fixing a disease, healing is about growing from within and growing and understanding what life is all about. But if we close down the doors, the pathway that's available to all of us, it's like we miss it. And so when you want to validate, is this really true? Is this something I know? I go within and I make that connection and I ask that question and I ask and I get an answer. The problem is people think, okay, is that going to be a voice? Is that going to be, a spirit talking to me? Is that going to be, well, it can be any of that. And as we all know, we hear stories of people who are hearing from spirit and people who are truly, truly mediums that are connecting to a spirit world. That information is there. And I know that they will tell you, again, we're moving in, our universe is changing, and this new field that we're now available and can be for any person to move ourselves into, but it's opening up because more and more of us are helping to open up that field. Our consciousness and all the decisions we make and what we think about all day and what we believe about people, we are actually creating. And if we're creating in love, which is what holds our universe together, if love is how we are creating, through joy, compassion, strength, caring for others. That is building and opening that field that is allowing us to move into the healing place. As a healer, we're the catalyst. We are a conduit for the energy, but we're a catalyst for healing into another person. I have to let go, absolutely let go of any outcome that I think should happen with that person or myself. And I have to say that once I learned how to do that, and Dr. Pearl and Jillian and all of the teaching assistants and Joan Fowler, who just, taught me so much, I can't name them all, but understanding that once I let that go and I let God instead of me, it's the three-way communication of getting myself into that field, which I can feel very, very strongly in my body. I'm feeling it right now in a great way. And I hope a lot of you are too. Of course, hands aren't the only place we're feeling it, and we feel it differently because we're all unique. And even if you don't feel it, it's okay too. You're still in it. And when we open that door for someone else, they're the ones that are going to heal themselves. That's what matched my near-death experience message. We can heal ourselves, but we got to open up the doors and the pathways. And a lot of times we don't know. We don't know where it is that healing needs to come. It could be spiritual, it could be emotional, it can be in many, many different forms that attaches disease in our body through all of our life choices and and it's not that it's our fault. We don't even go there. Oh my goodness. And people have said to me, well, how can you say we can heal when honestly, we can't even predict what's going to come to us next? And that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Through my story of healing, that I had to pull myself off the ground. But I realized that's exactly what I did. I opened that channel and I let go. I let go of the outcome. I can still be healing someone and be sick myself and have a healing move into myself. We all still have the ability. Healing's not a destination. It's not a place. We aren't going to get there. We have to, of course, make good choices, and we all talk about that. But what happens is those choices start moving in and information. And that's what happened to me. It was like, Terry, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. And I was hearing it from within. I was hearing it from that informational field, helping me know what to do. We can't do that for another person. We can put them in that frequency field. We can offer that communication, be that catalyst for them. But it's they are the ones who can take it and it'll open up. And we never know when. We don't know if it's going to be today, tomorrow, some are instant. And there are so many amazing stories of instant healing. And I've had a few of those of my own because I am practicing now here in Holland at a yoga and wellness center that I'm always going to be able to open up one of these days. I'm still doing distance healing, and I've actually done quite a lot of those. But I'm missing being, with the people, and hopefully, that the healing that needs to take place on our planet, that's part of what we're doing too. As a group, all of us, we all have excess. We're all the same. We're absolutely the same divine, love, cared for beings that we were created to be. And when I've got, lots of stories, but I also want to hear the rest of the questions.
Terry, you know what? I have still like 10 questions for you. I think we need to do like a part 2. Are you up for it?
I can do that. I don't know if you have a time limit, but if you
guys, are you in the chat up to you? So we bring Terry back? I'm sure they're gonna say yes. As I have like a super big question, but I'm looking at the time, and YouTube has this bad habit of starting to slow down our signals, and then we're gonna get all like all super choppy just to drop us off. Well, it could be YouTube, but it could be also our connections. I kind of say YouTube, but it may not even be YouTube itself. But I've seen it happening, and we're getting close to that mark. I have like another 5, 6 questions that I think people are going to resonate with. So if our guests here are okay, let's create a part 2 and bring you back, Terry. What do you say?
That'd be fine. That'd be fine. And then, unless there's one big question you want me to end with, and I'm open for any question you might have.
I do. I have one, definitely, that I think is going to be beautiful. I want to share with you some of the things that our amazing Reconnective family here in the chat have placed for you. Basically, we have so many people who are resonating with what you're saying. Everyone here has been touched, and we all resonate in so many levels. Julie says, we need to listen to our inner self. Mike says, bring Terry back. You got it, Mike. We're doing that. For sure we are. Jennifer Lynn also, yes, absolutely. Okay, guys, done deal. It's considered done because we're doing that. Jillian says, silence always wins whether we perceive it or not. We are simply designed to be receivers. How we choose to live is another matter. Lead, love, listen. Those are really beautiful remarks. Thank you, Jillian. I want to invite you, Terry. When we talked about this connectivity, when we talked about we are all connected, and we know here, our Reconnective Healing, our Reconnective family knows this. We know this because we've touched it. We've been there. We are there. How can you give us some words on how to express it to people who may be just finding out about Reconnective Healing, but that their ears are opening and now they're ready to listen? What would you say?
I would say, go for it. Absolutely go for it. And, I had to start with reading this story first so I understood it. And that is just, it's well written. It's fun. It's really a heavy topic, but Dr. Brill is very humorous, and it helped me. And so, start there, but also the portal, the online class, that really opened more things for me. In fact, it keeps opening more things. You've put up a few more of the portal things, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'd forgotten that piece, and it opened even a new door for me. And so for those that don't understand it at all, really literally, I know for myself, meditation is just one of the biggest things that I have to do for myself to open up that inner peace to listen. But at the same time, bringing in the frequency of that while I'm meditating, I now start by getting myself into that field. And I have found and realized I can go so much deeper now than I used to. And I know it's because I've been able to make more connections, open more pathways. And I keep pointing to my head. I don't know why I do that. Like there's this little, holes on the top of our head. Okay, we have a portal here, a portal. And I don't know why I'm doing that. But honestly, we have, every one of us, no matter where we are in our path and our journey, we've got doors that are ready to be opened. And you've already opened someone just listening today. Wait until you go into the silence and the quiet and really listen. You're going to begin to hear some new things right now. Right now, you're going to hear some new things. And maybe you'll be motivated to go for yourself and listen to some of these things. It doesn't mean that you've decided you need an active practice as being a healer, but you're doing it for yourself or your family, or just opening to more in your life, because that is what happens. Once those doors are open, more comes in. And I have found this over the years again and again and again. As soon as I let that open, more came in. And where I'm in my journey is maybe totally different from yours. And that is the beauty of our whole universe. Jillian is so right. We've got to be the receiver. We've got to receive the healing for ourselves. And that is what I'd like to leave people with. And thank you, Jillian, because I didn't make a big enough point about that. But we are a receiver, and we have to be that. And we have to receive the love for ourselves. Self-love is one of the most critical parts of this. We are very hard on ourselves as human beings. And that self-love has almost a whole chapter in here, because I discovered early after my being so sick, that's exactly what I had forgotten. I loved everybody else except me. And I was running myself into the ground. And then once I opened and I realized I love myself and I need to, the healing just moved in to my body. And it's an incredible thing. So if you're struggling with self-love, that's a place to start too. Open that up. And there's so many ways we can do that. There's real practical, we need all these little tools in our toolbox, but Reconnective Healing is one of those tools that's so vital. And when you think about the numbers of people across our globe that have been trained now, and we're now creating a bigger and bigger field of people that are opening up in love and compassion. And wow, does our universe, our planet need that love right now.
It does.
And it needs it all around us. But it starts with us. It starts right here. It starts with yourself. You have that love then to give. But in our healing, we're receiving, and we are allowing what is going to happen to take place. And it does. And it's so beautiful once that letting go process happens. So,
wow, Terry, that is so, oh my gosh. I'm here and I'm just resonating with everything you said. Jillian here wanted to add as well that Terry is the door right now. Are we listening? Are we listening? Are we willing to be open up and receive more and be that receiver we are meant to be? Guys, you see that little mark coming up? I told you. If you're seeing it, I've been given like a little bit of warning. You gotta hurry up, because I'm gonna start interrupting this signal. All right, so listen, Terry, we're bringing you back. After this program, we're gonna chat and we're gonna get ourselves together and we're gonna set up a date. And I already have the first question, but I'm gonna run it by you, okay, Terry? Guys, if you want to reach out to Terry, I've put the link here below in the description, okay? Just reach out, send her an email. There's a link there as well. This is her page out of the practitioners directory, and there's a link there to her website and to her book. So please go ahead, reach out, connect with Terry, because she loves to hear from all of you. Terry, what can I tell you? I am so happy that you accepted this invitation, and I'm so happy that you're going to be coming back. And again, we have a tete-a-tete after this program. Let's set up our next date, okay? Terry, thank you.
Okay. And yes, it sounds great. Thank you, everyone.
Love you.
Wonderful people. I feel, very blessed to be with you.
We are blessed to have you.
Yeah, you're all a blessing.
So we have a date in a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
And what can I tell you? Yes, you heard it. We're bringing Terry back. I'm going through all the notes here. Julie says, thank you. Thank you for answering that question I had of meditating on whether or not to bring in the frequencies. Can't wait to do that more. There are all these ways that we spoke of, and yet every single thing that Terry said, and as Jillian said, this is so simple. It does require that you recognize that you are a receiver, that healing happens when we allow healing, right? When we allow to see that healing, when we allow ourselves to get past our preconceived notions of what that looks like, And you know, there's the same thing comes for discovering truth or recognizing truth, right? It's that when we are listening, when we go inside and we are listening, that's when it really, that connection happens. Lexi says we will let you know. Yes, we will let you know when Terry's gonna come back. Absolutely. Mike says thank you, Terry. So much love here and so much to receive. And we'll let everybody know when we're having Terry back. As soon as we're done here, I'm gonna chat with her. Guys, we really are running out of time. We typically have conclusions. We're gonna leave them for our next conversation with Terry. I do want to remind you that we have that amazing energy interaction and meditation with Dr. Eric and Jillian this Saturday. And the link is below. All you need to do is click on that link, RSVP, and you'll receive the link to the premiere. Or if you're a follower of our YouTube channel, all you need to do is park yourself on the channel on Saturday. And at one point that morning, it's going to pop up into your radar. And then you'll be ready to just sit there and sip some coffee and wait for us, okay? Because it'll be happening at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That's what that D is for, okay? So, guys, we also have in progress our Living in the Frequencies program. Is in full swing, but I believe you still can sign up for. And all you need to do is send us an email, info@thereconnection.com. Put us a comment here if you want more information about it. And of course, just email me. I've placed my email here in the descriptions for this program. And I gotta mention it. Several of you feel very strongly that we need to do something to bring the portal to more people in the planet. I want to just do a shout out to Melanie because her generosity, her inspiration really just moved me and moved us. So if you like to have a conversation on Zoom, so we can have like a tete-a-tete on the portal, send me an email and we can arrange that. We can have a conversation and decide how would be the best ways, the most inspired ways to bring the portal to humanity. Solomon Study Group, guys, that's still in full swing. And let me tell you, powerful. Like Terry said, you really owe this to yourself. Give yourself the gift of listening to these messages that have been channeled through entities, through an intelligence, through consciousness that knows who we are, knows us, and is still distinct from us. And in that knowing us, this consciousness loves us so deeply. It recognizes so much of what we need to go through as humanity. And I cannot think of a timelier moment to really start your reading of Solomon Speaks and join the group, because it may even have some commentary of perhaps the moment that we're experiencing now globally. Some people have remarked on it. Just want to put it out there. Please give yourself the gift. And yes, yoga is happening, my friends, every Saturday, and it is happening. Let me put it here for you. Yes, it starts on June 20th. Back with Mr. Kelly Woodruff. Amazing. This is such an expansion of our interaction with these frequencies. It just shows just the tip of the iceberg of everything these frequencies have to offer. And guys, yes, we have come to that point in which we need to say goodbye for today. And I want to thank Terry Larkin again for her first appearance here in the Jam, because we're bringing her back and I will coordinate with her momentarily. I want to thank Lexi Alexander and Cecilia Sams. Always your support. We are so grateful to you. I want to thank Jillian Fleer. Your comments, Jillian, seriously, they just inspire conversation. We just feel loved when you are here. We feel your love. We know your love. We know you. And guys, Terry said it. I'm going to say it. There is the portal. That first hour is free. Gift it to somebody. Take this link, copy it. Send it to somebody. Did you know that somebody did that 2 weeks ago? Actually, several people did that 2 weeks ago. And people did sign up. And these people came back and they joined us. And now they're here. They're following us on the RH Jam. They're following one of the premieres. They're starting to really voice their interest. And not only that, how their heart jumps for joy for having discovered the frequencies of reconnective healing. Well, that is my experience every time I get in front of this camera, whenever it works. on this microphone whenever it works, and I'm talking with you. My heart jumps for joy because I feel these frequencies guiding our conversations, guiding our space here. And I know in that guidance, in that influence, where we are simply receiving, we are truly being everything we are. We are allowing them to expand and touch more lives here among ourselves, beyond ourselves, around the planet, through this digital medium and beyond. It has been a pleasure to be here. It is Anna Clavel, and this has been the RH Jam. I'll see you here next Thursday. Love you all.